Shawn Porter says that nobody has approached Terence Bud Crawford with the proper mentality, the mentality of a dog, the mentality of a killer, and going in there to try to knock his head off. We're going to talk about all that and more in this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Listen, somehow, somewhere you guys found this video. Appreciate you guys for that. But please hit the like button. It goes a long way when you guys hit the like button. So subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. This will encourage others to find the video that may be looking for similar content. Let's get into it. Now, I'm going to play a clip. Shawn Porter was on his podcast, The Porter Way, and he was talking about the upcoming fight with Terence Crawford. Pretty long time in the making. There were different spots where it appeared that this fight may not be going on, but that's in the past, and the here and now, they got it done. The fight was officially announced by Top Rank, and the rest, as they say, is history. In this podcast, Shawn Porter talked about the Crawford fight, and he said something that was pretty impactful. I want to play the clip for you, and make sure you guys stay tuned until after so I can close and give you some of my thoughts on this whole conversation piece from Shawn Porter. So I'm going to play the clip now. Listen to what Shawn Porter had to say regarding his upcoming fight with Terence Crawford, and then I'll wrap up and give some of my thoughts. Without further ado, roll the clip.
But I gotta make it clear, like every fighter, you're supposed to go to the ring with the mentality that I'm gonna win, the mentality that I'm gonna upset the crowd, I'm gonna upset the fighter, I'm taking this belt. Everything, you're supposed to have that confidence, and you're supposed to have that belief in yourself. And this is what I believe about everybody that Terence has been in the ring with. Those guys haven't gone to the ring with that mindset. And again, I said, I don't disrespect anybody that's been in the ring with Bud. I don't disrespect anything that he's done. Utmost respect for him. But when I do take a look at it, I'm not the guy talking about his resume ain't this, his resume ain't that, da 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 da. But when I do take a look at it, I try to find, okay, what's the differences between myself and those other guys? Where's the separation? Mentally, emotionally, I'm 100% going to knock this dude out. No, I'm not playing nice. And I don't think that anybody else has gone to the ring with that mentality to beat him.
So you heard from Shawn Porter himself ahead of his upcoming fight with Terence Crawford. Big fight. This is the fight that a lot of people were looking for Terence Crawford. If anything, I think this is how it goes with Terence Crawford. I haven't really met a person in boxing that felt that Terence Crawford was not a good fighter or ever said that he's not a beast. However, the biggest gripe I've heard from fans and critics, whatever you want to call it, regarding Terence Crawford is his resume. People have suggested that Terence Crawford, his resume has been pretty flat. Now, this all stems from personal choices and who he teamed up with. It looks like ultimately, to this point, Top Rank and his partnership is lasted as long as they could, and they were unsuccessful getting some of the bigger names for Terence Crawford up until this point. And see, this is the tricky thing with Terence Crawford's career, is Terence Crawford, although he does have some solid names, the downside is we live in a microwave society, so even the better names, like stylistic threats, guys who on paper were good names, either A, they didn't have momentum in their careers, or they were difficult styles and they didn't have a big presence. So that's kind of made it hard. Like, for example, look at Terence Crawford's run at 140 pounds. Now, it was a good run, but for Josh Taylor, who later became undisputed in that same division recently, look at who Josh Taylor had to fight. The names he had to fight were just a bit more critically acclaimed and a bit more standard names, and just people in boxing knew a little bit better. For example, I think Josh Taylor's biggest wins at 140 were Regis Prograis and Jose Ramirez. So Josh Taylor beat both of them to become undisputed. at different times, right? So you have no choice but to give him credit. Versus you look at Terence Crawford, he beat Julius Ndongo to become undisputed. Now, albeit Julius Ndongo was coming off of a great performance where he knocked out, I believe, a mandatory in Russia, Troyanovsky. He just wasn't a big name. So fans, when they're not familiar with the brand of some of these different guys, they can't give you the same level of credit to guys they've never heard of. And I think this has always haunted Terence Crawford for some time now. Even the better names he fought weren't really household names. Like you look at anybody, like Errol Spence at welterweight. He fought the Kell Brooks. He fought Shawn Porter. He fought Mikey Garcia. He was about to fight Pacquiao before his retina tear, right? And most likely when Errol Spence comes back, he will fight against Yordenis Ugas. So he'll have the better names that have been on main events and pay-per-views, etc. So I'm looking forward to the fight with Terence Crawford and Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter kind of said this as much, what I just said, in that clip that I played where he said, I'm not even one of the people ragging on Terence Crawford's resume. But the fact that Shawn Porter even said that lets me know that he's cognizant that some people have looked at Terence Crawford's resume as kind of like bleh or you know what I'm saying? And haven't really looked at his resume as a supreme one. And ironically enough, even though Shawn Porter, he took the high road and he didn't really bash Terence Crawford, so to speak, for his resume, he's in the position where if he wanted to, he really could have done that. Because Shawn Porter, you have to be completely deluded and delusional to see. This is the thing. When people say stuff to you, you can't just immediately retaliate if it doesn't make sense. For example, if Shawn Porter didn't take the high road and chose to say something about Terence Crawford's resume, which he didn't, Terence Crawford couldn't even respond because the whole world of boxing knows that Shawn Porter has a better resume. And this is something that I've said on my channel before. And some people act like they couldn't understand it, but it's very simple. Shawn Porter has fought everybody. He has fought all of the big names, all of the contemporaries. In fact, the remaining name would be against Terence Crawford. I guess you could say Pacquiao, but Pacquiao just announced he's retiring and he's going to run for president. So Pacquiao's out of the equation now. But the guy who beat Pacquiao, Shawn Porter, has a win over Yordenis Ugas. Even though it was close, I thought Ugas won the fight by a round or two. The judges seen it different. It was a close fight, and they gave the win to Shawn Porter. So Shawn Porter's been in there with the Adrian Broners. He's been in there with the Errol Spences. He's been in there with the undefeated Kell Brook, right? He's where his head's at, and they had that conversation. But I think the mentality's changed. Now It's just on pure competition. And Shawn Porter, I think he heard what Terence Crawford's team was saying. I really do. Because he seems a little bit different in terms of his demeanor. He seems like he's a little bit more like in full Shawn Porter competitive mode. He just said it. I'm trying to knock the guy out. I think it's going to be an amazing fight. I think it'll be an excellent fight. Shawn Porter will be the best name that Terence Crawford has probably ever fought, especially when you look at it in its totality, look at names and stuff like that. And keep in mind, Errol Spence underestimated Shawn Porter based on what he was saying. I'm not saying Errol Spence didn't train and things like that, but Errol Spence admitted later on that before the Mikey fights and before the Shawn Porter fight, that he ballooned up in weight and got to the high 180s, maybe even 190s. So he admitted that. So I think he slept on Shawn Porter a bit. And beyond that, what he was saying at the press conference, he said, you an in-shape street fighter. You fight like you can't swim. You fight like you drowning. And I think he underrated Shawn Porter. Just the styles make fights. You could say whatever. Some people say Shawn Porter's style is ugly, is too rough. You're risking a headbutt, things like that. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to beat whoever's in front of you. So whether you like his style or not, Shawn Porter comes to bring it. He's a real rough, rugged, durable, experienced guy. Very agile, very athletic. He did some pretty slick moves with Errol Spence. I was at that fight live, and there was one sequence, I don't remember, I want to say it was the second half of the fight, where Errol Spence was landing some nice body shots on Shawn Porter, and Shawn Porter kind of like pivoted, spun out, then pushed Errol Spence against the ropes and started attacking Errol Spence's body. And I was just like, whoa, the way he just spun out and then matadored and switched the roles. It was like some movie. That was a crazy fight. That was definitely a fun fight that I went to. So, no matter what Terence Crawford's team or fans or Terence Crawford himself says, Shawn Porter has to be respected because, again, he has a better resume than Terence Crawford, in my opinion, especially at welterweight. So I think it'll be a good fight, and it'll be a great test. Shawn Porter in shape, Terence Crawford always in shape. Both guys have that dogged mentality, and I played the clip for you guys so you heard how Shawn Porter's coming. So let me know what you guys think. Who wins this fight? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel if you love what I'm doing. A lot of stuff coming. It's Wilder versus Fury fight week. Let me know who you're picking for that. Use my link if you're going to order Wilder versus Fury, the fight. I have a link in the description. It's on my link tree. There's also a separate link. If you're ordering Wilder Fury, I repeat, and you want to support the channel and doing it, kill two birds with one stone, use my link. Appreciate you guys. Let me know what you guys think of Shawn Porter's comments regarding Terence Crawford. He doesn't believe that anybody has approached Crawford in the right way. Maybe they're starstruck. Maybe they couldn't pull the trigger. And I really want to agree with Shawn Porter because Amir Khan, he didn't look confident. He got dropped in the first round. Kell Brook, as soon as he got a taste of, Crawford's power in the fourth round, I had him win. I had Kell Brook winning like the first two rounds. But as soon as Crawford turned up on him in the third and fourth round, he was like acting shell shock, like he had PTSD or something. So I don't know. Jose Benavidez probably gave Crawford one of his tougher fights at 147, but he had been shot in the leg, so he lost his mobility. So none of these things could be said for Shawn Porter. Should be a great fight. Drop your thoughts in the comment section, and I'm out.